Hi. I'm your host, Rico the Chronicle. Today we're going to review 10 places you don't dare to live. Number 10. Hashima Island was once the most densely populated island in the world. Now it's completely empty. People became interested in the island after finding an underwater coal deposit directly under it. As time went on, tightly packed apartment complexes were constructed for the miners and laborers, providing its density record. But folks left as quickly as they came when the coal ran out. It's now a rock and concrete ghost town in the middle of the ocean. What would you do to this place if you're a multi-millionaire? Comment down below. Moving on to number 9. The Island of Dolls. Despite its status as a World Heritage Site along with Mexico City, it's a well-preserved example of Aztec life. Xochimilco has reached a certain amount of internet fame for its Isla de las Muñecas, or the Island of the Dolls. Hidden among the area's many canals, the site is famous for the hundreds of dolls and doll parts hanging from trees and scattered among the grass. Although it looks more like a horror movie set than anything else, the Chinampa, akin to an artificial island, used to be the actual residence of a now deceased man named Julian Santa Barrera. After finding a dead girl's body in a nearby canal, Barrera collected and displayed the toys in the hopes of warding off evil spirits. Daring souls can hire their own boat, try to convince the driver to pay the island a visit, and view it along with decaying houses and dangling dolls safely from the water. What an eerie place to live in. Number 8. Belitz-Holstetten Hospital, Germany. If this old German hospital looks disturbing, well, it is. Just check out its chilling resume. Between 1898 and 1930, the Belitz-Holstetten complex served as a tuberculosis sanatorium. It also housed mustard gas and machine gun victims during World War I, including a young soldier named Adolf Hitler. The hospital later went on to be a major treatment center for Nazi soldiers during World War II, and it was used as a Soviet military hospital from 1945 until the fall of the Berlin Wall. Today, a few wards are used as a neurological rehabilitation center, although the majority of the complex is abandoned. The surgery and psychiatric wards have both been left to decay and give way to nature and vandals, and the result looks like something straight out of American Horror Story. Next on the list. Number 7. Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia. The castle-like Eastern State Penitentiary was built in 1829 and immediately took solitary confinement to new levels. Prisoners lived alone, exercised alone, and ate alone. When an inmate left his cell, a guard would cover their head with a hood so he couldn't see or be seen. The prison had to abandon its solitary system due to overcrowding from 1913 until it closed in 1971, although the forms of punishment did not get any less severe. Chaining an inmate's tongue to his wrists is one example. The site remained empty until it opened its doors to curious visitors in 1994, and now welcomes thousands of visitors every year, both for its museum and ghost tours. Number 6. Kowloon Walled City, Hong Kong. The most densely populated city on Earth had only one postman. His round was confined to an area barely 1/100th of a square mile in size. Yet within that space was a staggering number of addresses, 350 buildings, almost all between 10 and 14 stories high, occupied by 8,500 premises, 10,700 households, and more than 33,000 residents. The city's many tall, narrow tower blocks were packed tight against each other, so tight as to make the whole place seem like one massive structure, part architecture, part organism. There was little uniformity of shape, height, or building material. Cast iron balconies lurched against brick annexes and concrete walls. Wiring and cables covered every surface, running vertically from ground level up to forests of rooftop television aerials, or stretching horizontally like innumerable rolls of dark twine that seemed almost to bind the buildings together. Entering the city meant leaving daylight behind. There were hundreds of alleyways, most just a few feet wide. Some routes cut below buildings, while other tunnels were formed by the accumulation of refuse tossed out of windows and onto wire netting strung between tower blocks. Thousands of metal and plastic water pipes ran along walls and ceilings, most of them leaking and corroded. As protection against the relentless drips that fell in the alleyways, a hat was standard issue for the city's postman. Many residents chose to use umbrellas. Next, number 5. Aniva Lighthouse, Russia. Aniva Island and its stately lighthouse were involved in a custody battle between Japan and Russia for around a century. The island flip-flopped many times between Russian ownership, Japanese ownership, and even shared ownership. The Soviets finally took full control after World War II and added radioactivity to the lighthouse. Nuclear generators and mercury lubricants helped the structure operate partially by itself, but it faded due to abandonment after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Number 4. St. George's Church, Czech Republic. Originally built in 1352, St. George's Church, Kostel Svatého G has had quite the history. The church was nearly destroyed by fires many times over the centuries, and its roof partially collapsed during a funeral service in 1968. After that event, the congregation became convinced the church was haunted. We get it, and refused to enter. As a result, the building was stripped by robbers and fell prey to vandalism. That all changed in 2012, when an art student at the University of West Bohemia had an idea to draw visitors back to the church, a collection of 30 ghost sculptures sitting in the pews with their heads bowed. Today, tourists have flocked to the ghost church to snap photos and even sit among the unmoving specters while praying. As of now, there's no signs of the installation being removed. We've reached the top 3 on the list. Don't forget to comment where you would live if you have the chance to. Number 3. Nothing to see here, folks, just an abandoned Soviet submarine base built during the Cold War. Hidden under the Crimean city of Balaclava, made famous by Alfred, Lord Tennyson's narrative poem, Charge of the Light Brigade, the structure is covered by 56 meters of concrete and filled with now empty tunnels that once housed some of the Cold War's most destructive weapons. Ever since the base was completely abandoned around 1993, visitors have been able to take tours of the derelict and mysterious site. Number 2. The Pavlovsk Soviet-era nuclear submarine base was built between the 1960s, was abandoned and left unfinished in the 1980s. It is thought to have been built to serve as a nuclear bunker to protect the Soviet Union's precious nuclear submarines. The base features 2 large tunnels to house submarines with a maze of much smaller ones for personnel. Today it still remains abandoned and can often be found with frozen water in the submarine docking areas. Number 1. Playa de Garci, Fuerteventura, Canary Islands. The SS America was commissioned and built in 1940 for the United States lines and designed by famed naval architect William Francis Gibbs. SS America had a distinguished service life of 54 years before ending up wrecked on the Playa de Garci in the Canary Islands. Her name changed throughout that time, with her final name at the time of the SS America's star. At the time, she was under tow to be refitted as a floating hotel in Thailand when a large storm broke the tow lines, leaving her adrift. She can still be seen beached and wrecked, but is largely broken up since 1994. A large part of her bow still remains visible at low tide and serves as a stark reminder of the power of the sea. That was all the places you don't dare to live. Don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up and share the video, guys. I'm Rico the Chronicle, peace out. See you in the next video.